Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to talk about how to spot the bottom on Palantir. I actually realized how we're going to see it, sort of. And I think this is going to be fantastic advice if you're a nervous Palantir shareholder, and it's generally going to be a fun video. So as always, if you like the content of this channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have just hit 1,000 subs. This is quite crazy actually. So thank you so much for all of you that have subscribed. And if you want to go even further and support the channel, please check out the first link in the description box below, which takes you to our Patreon, where you can support me and help a European guy in the European energy crisis survive this winter, and also maybe get some great YouTube content. Who knows? So let's begin the video. The markets have been totally crazy the last few days. Tesla and Palantir were rallying on Thursday, opening very low and then rallying up. The same with Tesla. And then on Friday, they had a crazy fall for no apparent reason. Tesla fell 7.55% and Palantir also something like 6+% with no apparent reason. And I think that could have shaken up a lot of people. And I've been doing a lot of thinking in the weekend. And today, guess what? We're up 7% and 6% Palantir, so all the damage is undone. And yeah, I was just thinking and came to some very interesting thoughts that I want to share with you guys. So I'm daydreaming in my car and I realized that the price is essentially determined by supply and demand. And I know this is very boring and very basic, but I was listening to one guy and I got the best explanation I've ever gotten on what moves the prices. So if you're a trader or an investor, if you're short-term or long-term, if you believe in technical or fundamental analysis, in essence, you're betting on the amount of buyers and sellers in the future. So whatever your reasoning is, if you're saying that fundamentally Palantir is doing good, what you're saying is the company is going to do so good that the current holders are not going to want to sell because they know the value that they got, and there's going to be a ton of new people, pension funds, institutions trying to get into the stock, so the price is going to go up. The same thing if you're a technical trader, you know, you can find these signs and you can say, okay, here the sellers run out and you know the buyers won, so this indicates that there's an oversupply of buyers and now the price is going to go up. So no matter from which angle you're looking at the stock market, in essence, you are betting on the amount of buyers or sellers in the future. So this is very important to understand. And do you guys ever notice how when Tesla or Palantir are going up, you have a bunch of good articles or mostly good articles, some bearish articles, and somehow in the last rally when Tesla rallied up 25% in one go, you suddenly started getting articles like Tesla is unbeatable, they're the number one. And you know, now that we have been crashing 35% in just a month, now we're suddenly getting articles of, you know, Morgan Stanley downgrading. Suddenly there's demand questions about Tesla, and it's almost like the sentiment is basically just chasing the price movement in the stock. But there is actually a very interesting mechanism at play here, which is very important for you to understand. So the reason why you need to be greedy when others are fearful and you need to be fearful when others are greedy is because what happens in a market when everybody is euphoric about a stock. And this is normally, you know, when you hit the stock market peak, or, you know, you hit your stocks peak. I give you a very good example. So in 2016, I was not a Bitcoin fan, and I heard that the price went from something like 3,000 to 20,000 in one straight rally. And I started noticing that in our company board meeting, there is me, another guy same age as me, and we have an older person who's very young in the head, but she's in a complete different 2 generations older than us, not very technical. And she started asking in the board meeting, should we buy Bitcoin? And this was very interesting. And the same day when we were driving home, we turned on the radio and we were in Denmark and the Danish radio was talking about Bitcoin. We arrived in Sweden and the Swedish radio was also talking about how much Bitcoin was going up. And in the same few days, I had so many close friends and, you know, I just saw it everywhere. And I was thinking, my God, this is got to be the time to sell Bitcoin. And it's crazy how right I was. And what happens in these times is that everybody who is a potential buyer starts buying Bitcoin, right? And for the price to keep going up, you need to have an increasing number of new buyers coming in. That's the only way that Bitcoin could have gone from 20,000 to 30,000 at that time, is new institutions, bigger and bigger and bigger amounts of money come into the stock. But when everybody is telling you how much money they have made on Bitcoin and that they're trying to get on Bitcoin, is usually the sign that the last people who could have been the buyers are already buyers now, so there's no future supply of buyers. So this is why the stock, or whatever it is, Bitcoin, is going to crash from that point, is because it's impossible to keep up the supply of buyers. And in the end, that is the only thing that controls prices, right? And the same exact thing happens on a bear market. That when everybody is telling you to sell, 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 move your money to safety, those are the people who have already sold, and they are just telling it to you to be safe. And for the stock to keep going lower, you need bigger and more amounts of sellers in dollar amounts. You need them to come to the market. And when everybody has already sold, prepared themselves for a crash, and they have positioned themselves in a way that they're short, they have puts and everything, guess what? That's the bottom, because there's no new supply of sellers. So suddenly the sellers run out and there's only buyers on the market, and that is the bottom. This is very, very important to understand. So what I'm trying to say is, it's impossible to know when the bottom is, and when you're in the bottom, you don't know that it's happening. You will only see it after. And this is why I'm not selling my stocks, is because if you sell because you think that the stock market is going to go lower, when will you buy back in? Because the only time when it's going to be obvious that you're through with the recession and the bad times is when you're way out of them. And your 3-year-old daughter can tell you that, daddy, the stocks are like in an uptrend now, and then it's too late. So this is when I was thinking in my car, and I realized, my God, you really have to have nerves of steel, because when 95% of the people, or very high percentage of the people, are pessimistic about your stock or the market, that is the bottom. And at that time, you're going to see very logical sounding newspaper articles, YouTube videos, everything telling you to sell, 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 get out. The Fed is going to raise interest rate. World War III is about to break out. Palantir is overpriced, and it's going to seem super logical. And it has to happen this way. There's no other way for the sellers to run out of the system and for the price to be able to change. And this will look and feel insanely scary. The only way that I think that you can survive this is you have to know the company that you invested in. You have to know how to do evaluations on your company, and you have to have a lot of patience. You have to have, nerves of steel, ice in the stomach, as they say in Sweden, and just wait. And when it comes to Palantir, I believe that we have passed this point, but I could be wrong. And what I'm trying to say, if there suddenly comes a series of bad news and the price starts dropping like crazy, don't lose your head. There's no other way to bottom in this bear market. Let me know if this was helpful in any way. It was a very interesting thought that I had in my car, so I just thought I'd share it with you. So if it helps you, I'm gonna make more videos like this. If it doesn't, then not, I guess. And if you have been watching so far, I really appreciate you as a viewer. Please make sure that you're subscribed, and why not check out the Patreon link in the description box below. Tomorrow is Tesla earnings. I'm so curious to see what they're going to report. Main focus is on what is the demand, what is the commentary about demand. Very interesting days coming. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.